Hey everyone, in this video, I want to show you how you can see uh, additional information on forms from uh, Cherwell 8.0, 8.1, somewhere in that time frame. Um, the content for those versions had this unique feature where not all of the information was visible on a form, specifically on change request, but this pattern might be on other business objects in your system as well, um, which means that with Cortex being a read-only system, there really is no way to see anything other than what loads on the form, except in Cortex 1.7, there are a couple ways around this. And I'm going to show you that in this video. So here we have Cortex. This is actually a development version of Cortex 2.0 that I'm working on my development machine. But that's because that's where my 8.1 database is. I have an 8.1 database that has never been upgraded from 8.1 to any newer version. So you're actually seeing proof that Cortex works on super old databases, even if you've never upgraded your platform version. But in this case, I have a change open, right? And in the 8.1 out of the box content, the change request form had a few different things. It had, of course, this stepped uh, banner across the top. It had these two buttons here, step view and expanded view, which were basically a toggle. Of course, these call a one step, um, which change values on the form, on the record rather. And then you have these back and next buttons. Now, up until Cortex 1.6, none of those did anything because we didn't run any one steps, and we certainly didn't write, we didn't make any changes to the record. Now, in Cortex 1.7, we added two features that actually help with this problem. The first one still doesn't require us to make any changes to anything, doesn't require running any one steps. Uh, Instead of clicking this expanded view link right here, we can go up to this drop down up at the top. By default, it says form arrangement, but we can choose a different form to see. So in this case, this is a normal change, and we can find the expanded view for a normal change. That's expanded view for standard, expanded view for emergency, expanded view normal. And here we can see exactly that's normal form, uh, the expanded view version, and see all of those details there. So this is exactly what we would see if we had clicked this expanded view button in this embedded form area. Because right now we're in step view and it's specifically showing the assess step, which we can also see by itself as well. We can do, so this is a normal change, assess normal. There is that form, and it shows all of the data. Obviously, in this case, there is no data on the assess screen, but if there were data, we would have seen that on that form. And you can also do the same thing for the classify step. If you wanted to see just the classify step, you would look for classify normal and classify normal. There it is. And now we can see all of the classify information. Now, the other thing that we've added in Cortex 1.7 is support for some one steps. And I have to emphasize the some because we do not run all one step actions. For instance, we don't run the save system command. We do not write to the database. None of what I'm about to show makes any changes to the actual data in the database. Um, and but because that can be confusing, we actually made this an optional feature. And this is probably something that we're going to start doing a little bit more of as we start to add some more advanced features to Cortex for Cherwell, and even some of the experimental and beta features that we're releasing. So over here in our old friend app settings.json, and I apologize, this is kind of small. Uh, you'll see a new section in the configuration called features. It's all the way at the bottom. It is totally separate from everything else, so that you can just add this to your existing configuration. You'll see a new item under there. If you look at the kind of the stock app settings.json, you can just grab this block here. This clickable form actions key, all of these keys that will show up under features for any version of Cortex, will always be either true or false. They'll always be toggles. And basically, a false value indicates just what it's always done before. A true value enables some new functionality. So in this case, clickable form actions. I've set this to true in my instance here, which means that I can click some of these buttons. You'll see when I hover over these buttons, it turns into a mouse cursor. Now, I'm not actually going to click on either of those buttons because, again, not all of them work. Not all one steps are supported. Only some one steps are supported. And there are some uh, gotchas involved in some of what we're doing. That just mean that in this case, these two buttons don't work quite yet. But what does work is if you click expanded view, after just a second, you'll notice that this changes to show the expanded view of the change. So you could actually see the entire expanded view. Again, this does not make changes to the database, but if you go to current object values, you will see that in this case, the embedded form toggle has been changed to expanded view normal. And if I click on step view, which goes back to the step view, which is what we saw initially, go to current object values, we'll see that the embedded form toggle is back to assess normal. So this these buttons here fire one steps. Those one steps get evaluated. The expressions within them get evaluated, and the value of that particular field gets changed in memory just in your session so that you can see a specific form. And to further prove that, I'm going to click expanded view. Now notice there is no save button here. You cannot save these changes. And I'm just going to refresh my page. And now I'm back to step view, right? So nothing was saved, nothing was written to the database. I think in this particular connection, I am actually using a read-only connection. Um, And again, that is the recommended configuration. And you will notice that using a read-only connection, clicking one of those buttons, you don't get any errors because it's not trying to write anything to the database. So with that, Cortex 1.7 has two different ways that you can see those other forms, those expanded forms. Uh, if you enable this feature, this clickable form actions feature, you can then click on buttons that fire one steps, some one steps, and that will cause the form elements to update, or you can just specifically pick the form that you want to see. Um, Once again, this would be expanded view normal, get the expanded view, and you can see all of the details that you would want to see. We had a lot of fun building both of these features. We think this is huge for Cortex. I hope you do as well. Um, If you have thoughts or questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. Um, and feel free to watch some of our other videos. We've got lots of videos about how to configure Cortex, how to use Cortex, all of the different features we've launched in all the versions of Cortex, including one that I'll link down below or in a card somewhere around here that is all about everything we released in Cortex 1.7. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.